Hey guys, Harton here. First of all, let me make it very clear. I have nothing against going late game. I can see why people find late game fun, intense, and exciting to see how far you get. But what I do find annoying are people who think that going late game describes how good you are at the game, and also people who call people who send rushes pussies or being afraid just because they don't want to go late game. Let me say this. People like myself who can get a 100-0 record on BTD Battles are considered good players, right? Well, although the majority of people would agree, some people would actually say no. This is because though certain people think that people can only get a legitimate good record if they go late game and don't rush all the time. And they say that if you rush, you're considered a bad player for it. Well, this is true that I do rush every single game that I play, but let's face the true fact. Rushing is a part of the game. Look at this picture. It says Assault Mode. Send waves of balloons to crush your opponent. Notice how it says send balloons? If the makers of the game are literally telling us to send balloons to kill our opponents, then why is it bad that we do it? Secondly, look at the title of the game. Bloons TD Battles. Yeah, it says battles, which is defined as a fight between two forces. The game isn't called Bloons TD Go Hug Your Opponent. I don't think you're really fighting each other if you're against hurting your opponent. Anyway, let's get back to what I was saying. People are calling others bad players for rushing a part of the game. I mean, that's like calling Ninja Kiwi bad people for making games, which is their job. But here's another thing that I want to bring up. If players like myself had plenty of time to play the game and go late game every time, as long as we had more time than our opponent, we would probably actually win 100% of the time, at least in BTD Battles Mobile. See, on mobile, with the Bloon Shipper ability, the ability is so powerful that it's possible to reach rounds above round 200 if a player has 3 hours to play. Yeah, I said 3 hours to play. Look at this picture. Round 292 takes a while over 3 hours. So yeah, the Bloon Shipper ability is really strong, and it does allow you to reach rounds of at least 100 on practically every single map, except maybe indoor pools. But really, on indoor pools, as long as you're somewhat better than your opponent, you'll probably outlast them even if you don't rush. So although Bloon Shippers are only on mobile, the same concept does apply to Flash. Why? Because Flash is still very, very time consuming. I mean, in those few times that I got past round 50, each of those games lasted over 2 hours. So if you guys are really calling us noobs or bad players for trying to avoid 2-hour long games, well, that's because we don't have 2 straight hours to sit down and play a game. I mean, most of us probably have only 10 minutes or 15 minutes to play a game. And if we don't rush, we're probably going to still be alive at that time, and we just won't have any more time to play. So I can understand why you guys like that game, but for the better players like us, we can probably last longer than 20 minutes each game if we don't rush, and most of us just don't have that time. Let me bring up this question. What really makes someone a pussy at this game? Well, many would automatically jump up and say, if you're rushed, then you're afraid to go late game, right? But as I stated above, the makers of this game meant for you to rush, and that people just don't have time to play 3-hour long games. And they don't want to pick up a loss for surrendering because they don't have time to keep going further. So in my personal opinion, and I'm sure that some others, or at least many others, would agree with me, the real way that one would be a noob at this game, or scared, or pussy, is if they don't rush. Now, this might sound weird to some of you, but really, hear me out. If someone actually does rush and kills their opponent, then they're not scared to rush at all. They're not a pussy. However, if someone doesn't rush because they know that their opponent is good enough to defend it, then technically they're the ones scared to rush, right? And if you're scared, then by definition, you're the pussy, as you call it. Because they know that if they rush, we'll defend. So that's why they're scared and they always want to go late game. Let me summarize what I'm trying to say here. First off, I have nothing against late game or the people who enjoy late game. I completely understand how fun it is to go late game, and I've done it quite a few times. But what I really don't like is the arrogant people who call others pussies for rushing, or arrogant people who hate people who rush, and literally call them cheaters at the game for doing so. Listen, rushing is a part of the game. The developers of the game made it clear that it's something that is supposed to be done. Most people are actually good enough to play for hours and hours on end trying to go for a high round, but really, who has that much time? With the Bloons Tripper ability on mobile, the mortar stall on flash, it's possible to get past round 200 on mobile and probably round 70 on flash, and that takes at least 2, 3, or maybe even 4 hours. Finally, many of the arrogant people who call others scaredy cats for rushing, those opponents already know how to defend almost any rush sent at them. So really, if someone's scared to rush someone else that has a good defense, then the one who's scared to rush is the real scaredy cat. I hope you understand my point here, and all I want to say is that everyone has different ways of having fun. Whether it's going the game or rushing to win, I can understand why both would be fun to you. People are different. Have your fun and allow others to have their fun. Play private battles with friends, play BTD5. Do whatever you need to make sure that you have your own fun. I'm not going to stop you from having fun. But what I do want to try to stop is bothering others for their way of having fun. As I said earlier, I don't have anything against late game. But if you have a problem with rushing or you have a problem with late game, don't call others people bad at the game for not playing by your rules. If you agree with me, share this video. I want to get this out to all those people who attack others for not having fun the same way as them. If you don't agree, leave a comment explaining why. I'm always willing to listen to people explaining their arguments, because I do listen to both sides of arguments. I'm not completely one-sided. On another note, I did leave a straw poll in the description on whether you like late game or not. You know, I just want to see what some people think about late game. And that's really all I have to say right now, so do leave a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you haven't already done so. I mean, if you made it this far into the video, then you were probably interested in the video, so subscribe for more videos from me. Have an awesome day.